The wedding was just days away when my fiancé's old flame came back to town. Nathan, her childhood friend, the one that got away, showed up at our rehearsal dinner, dressed in a tailored suit. That probably cost more than my first car. He walked straight to Mia Hart, took her hand, and said, "Mia Hart, run away with me." I decided to make it easy for them. Stepping forward, I took the microphone from the flustered event planner. "Folks, a slight change of plans. Let's give it up for the happy couple." Instead of running into his arms, Mia Hart spun around and slapped Nathan Cole square across the face. Then she turned to me, her eyes red-rimmed and furious. "Liam Reed, who the hell are you giving me away to?" I'd rarely seen Mia Hart look so vulnerable. She was panicked, grabbing my arm with a desperate strength. Her perfectly manicured nails dug into the back of my hand, leaving little white crescent moons on my skin. Nathan Cole, still stunned, cupped his reddening cheek. "Mia Hart," he stammered, his voice filled with disbelief. "You hit me for him." Mia Hart ignored him. I, on the other hand, offered Nathan Cole an apologetic smile. "Sorry, man, bad timing. She's been on edge all week. If you were gonna crash this thing, you should have done it before." She spent 3 months micromanaging every single detail of her dream wedding. Mia Hart's voice cut through my thoughts, low and dangerously calm. "Liam, look at me. You don't want to marry me. After 6 years together." I knew that tone. That was her "I'm about to burn the world down" voice. I didn't dare meet her eyes. "Isn't this what you wanted?" I said with a shrug, trying to sound casual. Nathan Cole's face was a mess. A thin scratch from Mia Hart's ring was starting to well up with blood, making him look more like a B-movie villain than a romantic hero. It struck me then that he looked completely out of place next to Mia Hart, who was practically glowing tonight. Her voice softened unexpectedly. "What about the Northside property and the company shares we agreed on every month? You don't want those anymore?" "I do." My head snapped up, my eyes locking onto hers with genuine passion. Nobody turns their back on that kind of money. The heartbroken hero role definitely wasn't for me. To understand any of this, you have to go back to how Mia Hart and I first met. Mia Hart Davenport had always been campus royalty, the untouchable daughter of the Davenport dynasty. I was just another face in the crowd. Our worlds collided at the senior formal. After graduation, she wore a floor-length red gown, her hair swept up in an elegant twist. Just by standing there, she owned the entire room. My buddies were practically drooling. During the slow dance, they shoved me forward, snickering. "Too bad Nathan Cole isn't here," one of them muttered. The name gave me pause. I'd heard it 1,000 times around campus. Nathan Cole, the piano prodigy who'd left for Juilliard and then Europe. People always said I had a passing resemblance to him. Mia Hart's long-gone sweetheart. Maybe the resemblance was strong enough. Across the crowded ballroom, Mia Hart's eyes found me. She moved toward me with a slow, deliberate grace, a faint scent of champagne preceding her. Her long, cool fingers traced the line of my jaw, and for a second the world tilted on its axis. "There you are," she said. "Every guy in college has that fantasy. The regular dude who gets swept up by the rich, beautiful girl and lives happily ever after." I didn't ask her who she'd found. She didn't say who she was pretending I was. We exchanged numbers, and just like that it started. Mia Hart was 2 years older than me, a smart, sophisticated woman who was already navigating the brutal world of startups. We connected over the struggles of building something from nothing, and her insights into business operations were brilliant. We talked constantly. I'd tell her about the stupid, funny things that happened to my day, and I loved listening to her laugh or sigh, offering considered advice I hadn't even known I needed. We discovered we had the same weird tastes. We both loved ridiculously spicy hot wings, played tennis on weekends, and dreamed of traveling the world. I never dared to ask her to her face. One night, over the phone, I finally worked up the courage. "So people always say I look like your old friend, Nathan Cole. As the expert, what's your take?" There was a pause on her end, followed by a low, throaty laugh that sent a jolt right through me. "You're not like anyone else, Liam," she said. I was young and full of it. It was ridiculously easy to fall for a woman who felt like my other half. 6 years of smooth sailing had made me complacent. I'd almost forgotten that I was just the stand-in. My decision to step aside wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. It had been brewing for 3 months. 3 months ago, Nathan Cole came back from Europe. 3 months ago, Mia Hart started talking about wanting a wedding. Our careers had just stabilized. She'd been promising for years that, as soon as things calmed down, we'd take that trip to Paris I'd always dreamed of. It wasn't the first time she'd made that promise. Then scrolling through one of her colleagues' Instagram stories, I saw it. A picture of Mia Hart, laughing with someone under the Eiffel Tower. I felt a strange, unnerving calm. The guy's face was only partially in the frame, but I knew it was a man I'd never met, but whose shadow I'd lived in for years. Nathan Cole was in Paris. That night, around 11, Mia Hart got back from her business trip, dragging her suitcase behind her. She went straight for the bathroom. A moment later, her phone, charging on the nightstand, started buzzing nonstop. I rolled over to silence it, and the screen's harsh light cut through the darkness. A text preview from a contact named Nathan Cole was at the top. Nathan Cole, Mia Hart, I'm back in a few days. Can you meet me? A string of photos pushed the message out of view. I tried to unlock the phone, but she'd changed the passcode. When she came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel with steam clinging to her hair, I was sitting up in bed, staring at the box of delicate pastries she'd placed on the nightstand. I don't like sweets. Neither does she. It wasn't hard to guess who they were for. I pointed to her phone. Nathan Cole texted you. She froze for a split second, then picked it up, typed a quick reply, and tossed it aside. You didn't read it. Didn't need to, I said casually. A grown man being that needy is just embarrassing. Mia Hart looked at me, a slow smile spreading across her face. I'd always loved her eyes. Large, expressive, and when they focused on you, it felt like you were the only person in the world. She paused and dropped the bomb. Liam, what would you think about us getting married? On a trial basis. A contract marriage to make the old flame jealous and win him back. So I'm just a pawn in your little game. I wanted to laugh, but before I could say a word, she started talking about money, the Northside property and company shares. That land was useless to her portfolio, but for me, it was the key to bridging two of my major projects. She knew I needed it. A mutually beneficial arrangement. Our teetering relationship was suddenly propped back up on a foundation of cold, hard cash. Seeing the barely concealed excitement on my face, Mia Hart added, and after the wedding, we don't interfere in each other's personal lives. I agreed so fast, it was probably indecent. Who needs love when you can have a real estate empire? From now on, I'd be calling her boss as if reading my mind. She laughed, a hint of resignation in her tone. Let's skip the boss part. You're my husband. In the end, it was just a business merger with vows. Now that the main shareholder was back, it was time for me to step down. Still, a contract is a contract, especially when your benefactor has been very clear about the terms. The guests at the dinner were in an uproar. Nathan Cole just stood there, all the sophisticated grace of a world-class pianist, completely gone. Feeling a little sorry for him, I handed him the MC's cue cards. Here, you can host my wedding for me. Mia Hart's eyes darkened. She stared at Nathan Cole's face, which was now the color of a ripe plum, and said coolly, Are you an idiot? Don't you know that crashing a wedding and trying to coerce a bride is interference with marital freedom? That's a felony. You should have tried to poach her in private. I added silently. She shot me a look that said, You're not helping. The Harts and the Coles were major players in Chicago. What Nathan Cole did tonight would be all over the gossip blogs. By morning, embellished and exaggerated. Childhood sweethearts reunited. A dramatic wedding showed up. I couldn't help but be a little impressed. The rich really do love their drama. The party finally wound down late. As the last of the guests trickled out, I pulled out my phone to get a lift and saw the storm of notifications. The Vance family's PR team was no match for this kind of viral mess. Nathan Cole was rapidly being cast as the tragic, jilted lover in a drama he'd written himself. My own Twitter account had gained 10,000 followers. Overnight, the comments were vicious. But hey, it wasn't costing me any money. At Orchid Lover 92. Ugh, get a life, dude. He's the other man. At Cheatown Watcher. Is your talent as limited as your screen time? In her life. At Nathan Cole Fan Club, why isn't Mia Hart saying anything? What user? Nathan Cole was waiting for you. And you just get married to some rando. I was half carrying a completely wasted Mia Hart. Scrolling through the comments with my free hand, I felt a surge of righteous indignation on her behalf, and typed out a reply. At Liam Reed, hey guys, I'm just a stand-in. Go easy on her, all right. Mia Hart slumped against my shoulder, blinked her hazy, eyes open, and gave me a complicated look. "You're just impossible," Mia Hart mumbled. She'd been drinking all night, and finally couldn't hold it anymore, leaning against me, and getting sick in the bushes outside the venue. It wasn't that I was impossible. I gently wiped her mouth with a handkerchief and sighed. In the first couple of years of building my company, I'd run myself ragged. Too many late nights. Too many drinking meetings with clients. I ended up with a chronic stomach issue. That never quite went away. Mia Hart banned me from drinking. She was always meticulous about my health, yet somehow completely oblivious in other ways. The ride home was quiet. She was completely drunk, staring at me with the kind of wounded expression you'd give a cheating husband. Anyway, I'll take care of the online stuff," she slurred. "I'm able to, thanks, good. Save me a PR headache." "You don't care. Don't care about what the PR bill." I definitely cared about that. I glanced over at her. But Mia Hart had finally succumbed to the alcohol, her head lolling to the side as she fell asleep. The street lights painted long, lonely stripes across the road. The car was warm, but a familiar sour feeling began to rise in my chest. I'm not a sentimental guy, but no one could just turn off their feelings like a switch. The lift dropped us off at our condo. We'd bought it together. She'd picked the decor, overseen every detail of the renovation. Maybe it was because our tastes were so similar. Or maybe it was because her tastes were so similar to Nathan Cole's. Before leaving the party, I'd gotten Nathan Cole's number and added him on Instagram. A quick scroll confirmed it. A post from 3 months ago showed that Mia Hart was, in fact, in Paris. With him, her warm breath ghosted across my neck. But a chill went through me. The wedding band on my finger suddenly felt heavy and foreign. I laid her down on the sofa, slipped the ring off, and placed it on the coffee table. Mia Hart's eyes fluttered open. She looked at me and gave a silly, dreamy smile, mumbling something incoherent before passing out again. I leaned in closer to hear what she'd said. "I found you found who found what." I sat down next to her and picked up her phone. Her new passcode was our wedding date, which also happened to be Nathan Cole's birthday. See, he should have crashed the wedding earlier. He could have had the girl and a birthday party. Instead, he was stuck at home staring at his phone. Her screen lit up with another message. As her new husband, I felt it was my duty to inform my sleeping wife. "Honey, you got a text," I whispered before swiping open the screen. "Pin chat. Liam Redheart Fireweight." The text was from Nathan Cole. "Nathan Cole, Mia Hart. Have you really made up your mind? Nathan Cole, he's just a substitute. Why is it okay for him, but not for me? What a moron, Nathan Cole. It's my first birthday since I came back. You're not going to spend it with me. I know you're not really drunk." I glanced at the passed-out woman beside me, then back at the screen where the typing bubble appeared and disappeared. So much drama. I scrolled up, finally seeing the full context of the message I'd glimpsed earlier. "Nathan Cole, Mia Hart, I'm back in a few days. Can you meet me? I know you're getting married, but can you just wait? Wait for me, Mia Hart Dino." So ruthless, I took a sharp breath. Having reached a stunning conclusion, Mia Hart Davenport was an absolute player. "You talk so much," Mia Hart mumbled, sitting up groggily. My hand still holding her phone trembled. The scent of champagne washed over me as she leaned against my back, her warm skin pressing against my spine. She reached around, her hand finding mine, frowned. "Where's your ring?" I fumbled to put her phone down and grab my ring from the coffee table, but she was clinging to me so tightly. I was afraid she'd fall. In my haste, I accidentally knocked the ring off the table. I watched it bounce, once before disappearing under the media console. Mia Hart sighed softly in my ear. "If you don't like that one, we can pick out a new pair tomorrow." Her voice was soft with a note of genuine hurt. Mia Hart wasn't the type to pout or play cute. I was certain she was blackout drunk. "I'm not Nathan Cole," I said, then added for good measure. "And I'm not any other guy either." Drunk Mia Hart was surprisingly direct. She looked at me and nodded seriously. "I know you're not. You're my husband and the father of my child, right?" "Wait, what child?" I knew I was wearing a metaphorical dunce cap, but was it a family-sized one? I whipped my head around to look at her. She just shook her head, an innocent smile on her face. "Not pregnant yet. Just give you a heads up. A little surprise. Some surprise." She snuggled into my arms, her soft, even breaths tickling my ear. My whole body went rigid, but she was completely oblivious, sleeping peacefully in the dead of night. Her phone rang again. Half asleep, I heard Nathan Cole's voice on the other end, choked with sobs. He was crying so pathetically. It was actively ruining my sleep. Mia Hart gently squeezed my hand, then slipped out the bedroom. 3:30 a.m. I stayed in the same position until the sheets beside me were completely cold. Mia Hart didn't come back. 4 a.m. I checked Nathan Cole's Instagram. A new post, a picture of a hand wearing a ring. I recognized. My ring. Mia Hart's ring. Nathan Colinoker, pianist. Those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music image. The ring was the one I had put on her finger, and as if that wasn't enough, you could see her reflection in the glass of the coffee table. Just half her face. Her expression unreadable, but I guess she was probably happy. It was Nathan Cole's 21st birthday after all. If it weren't for all this drama, they'd probably be married by now. I felt a pang of something hollow. 6 years wasn't something you could just toss away overnight. But if Mia Hart didn't care, I couldn't let myself get dragged down with it. She didn't come home all night. I was too stubborn to sleep, staring at the ceiling until dawn. When she finally walked in, she was wearing a different outfit, a crisp professional power suit. I was sitting on the sofa, and our eyes met. "You're back," I said. She nodded, walking over and smiling down at me. "Did you miss me?" I didn't answer. Instead, I reached for the cold takeout on the dining table. She was on her period. I had a bad stomach. The spicy noodles were a weapon of mass destruction. Her gaze was intense. I put the chopsticks down. Mutually assured destruction wasn't my style. She saw right through me. "Just say what's on your mind, Liam. Stop with the build-up. Did you spend the night with Nathan Cole for his birthday?" Mia Hart was visibly taken aback. She handed me the mug of hot water she just poured, then poured one for herself. "No," she said slowly. "I was looking for someone. I needed his help. Looking for that 6 feet, 1 inch college kid who's shorter than me." She blinked, looking at me with genuine confusion. Classic, I thought. Total player. Can't even keep her dates straight. "The guy in the white shirt who was at your office last week." I clarified. Mia Hart suffers from the cold, and she always takes some awful herbal stuff before a period. I was dropping it off for her that day when I saw him. A kid who looked like he had schemes brewing behind his innocent college boy eyes. He got in her car, a car I'd bought her as a wedding present. I'd never forget that car. 20 minutes later, he got out, his face pale as a ghost. Mia Hart's expression turned serious. "You're my husband, Liam. There's no one else." Bullshit. I stared at the cup of ginger tea she was holding out to me. "You don't even remember." "I hate ginger." She pushed the cup closer. "It's to warm your stomach. Drink it, be good." I stared in her smiling eyes and chugged 3 full cups. The next morning, tasting nothing but ginger, I decided it was time to give Mia Hart a little shock of my own. It had nothing to do with the tea, of course. A few days earlier, Mia Hart's mother had cornered me and offered me $5 million to leave her daughter. I thought I was dreaming. How my moment finally come. "Before you two are legally married, be smart and walk away," she'd said. "Not enough, fine, another $5 million. She slapped a black card on the table, then snatched it back with a pained expression. Before sighing dramatically, I sighed right along with her, mourning the lost $5 million. "Liam, my dear," she said, her tone softening. "It's not about the money. Nathan Cole's reputation is in the gutter right now, and I'm worried he might do something crazy. You need to lie low for a while." I wanted to say I wasn't some damsel in distress from a romance novel, but then I glanced out the window and saw a car that looked suspiciously like Nathan Cole's, peeling out down the street. "Okay, ma'am. I appreciate the sentiment. I'll go." I took the original $5 million, booked a flight that same day, packed a bag, and flew to Paris. Mia Hart, who had promised to give me an explanation today, had gone to the office early. She had back-to-back meetings. I left a series of heartfelt sticky notes all over the apartment, my handwriting a chaotic scroll. The first text she sent me when she got home was a complaint that she couldn't read my chicken scratch. "Mia Hart D, where are you, Liam? If the world was a group chat, I'd leave. _cat. JPG Liam Paris. Mia Hart D. Are you dying, Liam?" A second later, a FaceTime call came through. I was lounging on a beach chair, sipping a smoothie and soaking up the sun. On her end, the screen was dark, lit only by the passing street lights. She was driving, glancing down at me between turns. "Are you drinking something cold again?" "Nope." I casually moved the iced smoothie out of the frame. "What kind of illness is it?" "Stomach cancer." "Something else?" "Wow, I get to choose." Her expression hardened, her voice trembling slightly. How many months do you have? I told you to stop reading. So many cheesy romance novels. Mia Hart arrived faster than I could have imagined. As the clock struck midnight, she was knocking on my hotel room door. The cool moonlight framed her silhouette. She gave me a weary smile and held out a thermos. Don't leave me, she said. Your stomach is a mess. I'll make you chicken broth. Sometimes I seriously wondered if her brain had been replaced by a romance novel. Algorithm, she looked exhausted. Still wearing the suit. She'd left for work in that morning. I want to get her a glass of water. She just stood in the entryway, her gaze fixed on me. What do you want to ask? I said, fiddling with the glass to seem casual. She studied me for a long moment. You really don't have cancer. This was going to take a while. I pulled up my last 6 months of medical reports on my phone. She took it and scrolled through them, page by page, reading more carefully than she'd ever read. My business proposals. I stared at the top of her head. Was she worried that if I died suddenly, my company shares would go to someone else? Not a chance. They could carve it on my tombstone, along with my height, so people wouldn't step on my feet. I'm not obsessed, but I'm 6'2". Mia Hart's hand was trembling slightly as she handed the phone back. Let's just call this an early honeymoon. Want to go to the Eiffel Tower tomorrow? I ran my thumb over the side of the glass and nodded. Okay. The blade hanging over my head swayed, but it didn't fall. I used to think we'd have our big, dramatic confession of love on some foreign street. Now, I was just hoping we could have a normal conversation about tomorrow. How many tomorrows did we have left? Mia Hart was never one to spoil a mood. For the next few days, she actually turned off her phone notifications and joined me in a series of pointless, wonderful activities. She was a shark in a boardroom, but she never turned that sharpness on me. In her personal life, Mia Hart was one of the kindest people I knew. If Nathan Cole hadn't come back, I think I would have been perfectly happy to live my life. With my eyes closed, we walked under the moonlight and held each other in front of the Eiffel Tower. A violin played somewhere nearby. I tucked a stray piece of hair behind her ear. I want to ask for a kiss. She read my mind. A faint smile played on her lips. Does my husband need to give me advance notice for something like that? Her breath hitched, and my heart hammered in my chest. I pulled her close and gave her a long, slow kiss. When we broke apart, her eyes were hazy, her red lipstick smudged. I was completely captivated, leaning in for another. A small tug on my pant leg broke the spell. I looked down and met the wide, blue eyes of a little blonde girl. Mister, will you buy the lady a rose? Mia Hart turned slightly annoyed to look at the girl. The little girl's eyes went wide. Hey, you're the lady from last time, oh. But you with a different mister this time. The magic shattered. My good mood evaporated. I covered my ears and looked at Mia Hart, feigning ignorance. I don't speak French. The little girl pulled a crumpled photo out of her pocket, looked from my face to the picture, and then suddenly turned and ran away. A face-blind kid. My perfect secret agent. Mia Hart and I stood there in stunned silence. Do you want to know why I was in Paris 3 months ago? She asked suddenly. I couldn't meet her eyes, missing the clear, steady look in hers. I'd figured we'd have this conversation eventually, maybe over coffee on a quiet afternoon, or at the dinner table one night. I just never knew how to start it. She, of course, was different. Decisive, brutal. The dream was over before I'd even had a chance to enjoy it. The theme song to my breakup was already playing on a loop in my head. I looked up at the sky, calculating how long the 5 million from a mom would let me wallow in self-pity. The city lights were coming on. All around us, people were in their own little worlds. Some were in love. Some were just watching the scenery. And one was mentally digging a tunnel back to Chicago with his toes. The sound of hurried footsteps approached. The little girl was back, this time wearing sunglasses and carrying a bouquet. Not of roses, but of bright red chili peppers. I waved her away. Did she really think a change of clothes would fool me? Mister, she said out of breath. The lady next to you sent these. She wants to wish you a happy marriage. Mia Hart took the fiery bouquet and held out to me. They're from that specialty farm outside Chicago. Your favorite. My eyes started to burn. I let out a massive sneeze, pushing the peppers away. In the glow of the tower, Mia Hart was still breathtakingly beautiful. She smiled. I ordered these 3 months ago. Happy wedding, Liam. Then she added, can we go home and talk? I nodded numbly. The moon was a sliver in the sky. I stared at our shadows on the pavement, merged into one inseparable shape, and felt a strange, unbidden joy. That Dreamlike state lasted all the way back to our hotel. Inside, away from the world, Mia Hart kicked off her heels and slipped on a pair of slippers. The soft shuffling sound stopped beside me. I was sitting on the sofa, still clutching the chili peppers, tears streaming down my face from the spice. Mia Hart took the peppers and set them aside. She leaned in close, her eyes locked on mine. I realized then that Mia Hart often looked at me with that same direct, intense gaze, a gaze I usually dodged. "You know you're always dodging me, don't you?" She said, a laugh in her voice. I froze when she leaned in closer, surrounding me with her familiar, clean, woodsy scent. It was the perfume I complimented 6 years ago, and she'd never worn anything else since. I had nowhere to retreat. Her cool hands cupped my face. "So, I've been waiting for you to fall in love with me, and you've been waiting for me to cheat on you." The sheer amount of information crashed my post-college dial-up speed brain. Mia Hart was now squishing my cheeks playfully, and I could only manage a muffled huh. She sat back, looking at me with an expression of academic curiosity. "Isn't this the plot of all those billionaire romance novels? The whole unrequited love, marriage of convenience turns into real love thing." No, I was genuinely horrified. "You need to stop reading those books." She considered this for a moment. "Back in college," she said, "I suddenly started hearing your thoughts." She put a finger to her lips. "Some of them, I'll spare you the details." My brain did a series of frantic loop-de-loops. I felt like an old farmer who'd spent all day tilling a field under a blazing sun, only to realize he was on the wrong plot of land. I shakily reached for her hand, our fingers intertwining. "So, you know I can skip a stone 15 times in a row." Mia Hart nodded. "And that you once sank 5 three-pointers in a row." A soulmate. She looked down, a smile playing on her lips. "If I could have heard you sooner, things might have been even more interesting." We talked all night. By the early morning, our voices were hoarse. I pulled her into a mock ceremony, making us swear a pact of brotherhood. "Nathan Cole is just an old friend," she explained, pulling up her Twitter profile on her phone. "I thought that since he was studying in Paris, he might know some interesting things to do." She shoved the phone in my face. The profile picture was a photo of us from college, a kiss under streetlight. Her latest tweet was a reply to my standing comment. At Mia Hart D replying to at Liam Reed. "You're not like anyone else." She looked me in the eye and added, "Because I love you." The comments section exploded. A call from Nathan Cole came, and almost immediately my turn, humming a triumphant little tune. I answered the phone for her, kicking my feet up. "Hello, you've reached the husband. What can I do for you, old flame bro?" There was a stunned silence on the other end. Nathan Cole's voice, when it finally came, was raw. "Let me talk to Mia Hart." "She's sleeping," I said, watching as Mia Hart expertly peeled a shrimp and popped it in my mouth. "You're still just a substitute." I chewed thoughtfully. How do you want to know what she came to see me for?" "On your wedding day, she asked me to help her find her high school crush." "Already found him, but thanks for the offer," Mia Hart said, leaning into the phone. She reached over and hung up before Nathan Cole could get another word out. Then she rested her head on my shoulder. I stroked the back of her neck. "So you have a lot of these substitutes, huh? What about that college kid who was shorter than me?" She shook her head. "No, it was only you. It was always you."